seen this. This is the symbol of transformer. See, I may not be drawing neatly. Don't bother about it. It's not I may not. I cannot draw neatly, so you just don't bother about it. So this is the basic symbol of transformer you could have seen. Okay, for this transformer, you will be having some input winding and you will be having one output winding. Okay, so here this is an iron material or ferrite material you can call. Over this material, one wire is wounded over that material. Okay, so this winding or turns, you can say it as number of turns or number of windings. Let's say the number of windings on this side is N1 and the number of windings on this side is N2. Okay, we are not seeing equation. Let us discuss about the concept. Equation we will see it later. Okay, so you apply some voltage source here. I told if you put sinusoidal symbol, it is voltage source, and if you mention this is a voltage source, this is going to have certain voltage. So this is a AC voltage source. Since it is a AC voltage source, it is going to be represented as Vm sin omega t or Vm cos omega t. It depends. So we are going to use this Vm sin omega t. So this voltage source is going to give you a voltage supply that will be sinusoidal in fashion. So this is going to have a peak. So this peak is nothing but Vm. So you know that this sine omega t will be having the value between -1 to 1. Then if it is like that, if you this is the peak value is nothing but the maximum value of the waveform. Then if this is the peak value, then when you are multiplying with this -1 to +1, you will be having minus Vm, that is minus Vm here, and you are having plus Vm here. Okay, so you are going to have a sinusoidal waveform. From that sinusoidal waveform, you are going to have this waveform like this. So now what you are going to do, you are going to apply this voltage source to this winding. So this winding it's generally called as primary winding, where you are giving the supply, and this is called as secondary winding. Okay, so what we are doing, we are applying some sinusoidal signal. That sinusoidal signal is going to create some current here. You are having a sinusoidal voltage. If you are having a sinusoidal voltage, you are going to have a sinusoidal current. Okay, so why? Because if you are having a source, then if you are having a resistor and an inductor, then if you apply some AC voltage source here, then some current will be flowing. So this voltage will be sinusoidal like this. Similarly, this current will also be in sinusoidal, but it is lagging though. So that and all we are not going now. So this current will be lagging because it is inductive in nature. So it is lagging. So that is not our importance now. So we are applying some supply voltage. This winding actually it is almost similar to the resistor and the inductance connected in series. And if you are applying some voltage across this, then some current will flow because it is a circuit. A circuit means a current can flow. Thus, it is a closed path, so you can call it as a loop. So since it is a closed path and you are applying a voltage source, so some current is going to flow through this path. That is I. This is V and this is going to I. So this current, as of now, you just consider that this is a voltage, this is the supply voltage, this is the supply voltage. Let's say that this is V, and you are going to have a current that is going to be lagging. Okay, so that current, if it is going to this winding, okay, it is going like this, and this current will be going like this, and the current will come out of this. So this current is going to have a flux. So whenever there is an electric field, if there is some rate of there is a rate of change of electric field, or if there is a current, then there will always be electric field. If some current is flowing through the path, irrespective of whether it is a DC current or AC current, if some current is flowing through that conductor, then there will be some flux which is established over that. Okay, direction of the flux you don't bother as of now. If there is some current, irrespective of DC, direct or alternating current, irrespective of that, you are going to have a flux across that conductor based on the current direction. That current direction is going to decide the flux direction. Okay, because here the current is the input, so because of the current there is going to be a flux. How that flux will be there, that is secondary one. Okay, so now the current is flowing like this. As we had discussed, if there is some current, there will be some flux around it, right? So similarly, in the entire winding, current is flowing, so you can have a flux around all the windings. Okay, so all the points will be having certain flux. So now if you have, or if you see a cumulative effect of all these fluxes, then it will be coming somewhat like this. Okay, we'll change the color. It can be seeing somewhat like this. Similarly, on this side, it will be like this. Okay. So how will be this flux direction? Okay. As of now, you can apply right hand grip rule. So the current is facing this direction. If you apply right hand grip rule, this is in the clockwise direction. Then this is your fingers. Let's say, suppose if you are having a wire, in this wire, okay, let us say that the current wire is like this, so the current is flowing like this. Okay, if that is the case, then you just hold this right hand in the horizontal fashion, means your fingers are like this. If your fingers are like this, then your thumb will be in this fashion. Okay, okay, so your thumb will be in this fashion if you apply right hand grip rule. So here you are holding the wire. Your right hand is holding the wire. Your thumb shows the direction of the current. If your thumb shows the direction of the current, this fingers is going to show the direction of flux. Okay, for an easier understanding for this part, okay, your let us consider, you can also consider your thumb, your fingers as flux current direction, and thumb as flux direction. Means you can either consider fingers as current direction or the flux as current direction. It depends on you. Now what you are doing, you are holding this complete this complete part you are holding. Okay, you consider that your fingers are like this. Okay, you are holding this part. Okay, you are holding this part. Now your fingers are holding this complete part. So your fingers direction is giving the current direction. So if your current direction is decided by the fingers, if you are holding with your right hand, then your thumb will be coming like this. Okay, so your current direction is like this, your current direction is like this, and your thumb direction is like this. Okay, so this is your current and this is your flux. Okay, so what I want to say is you are applying a right hand grip rule. If you are applying a right hand grip rule, what it is going to do is it is going to give the flux direction if you know the current, or it is going to give the current direction if you know the flux. Okay, so there are two things. One is thumb and another one is the fingers. If you are holding the wire based on the if you are holding the wire with your right hand, then the fingers, for this part, the fingers will give the current direction. Okay, the fingers will give current direction, mean your flux will be in the upward direction. So if you are having flux in the upward direction, you can mark the flux direction like this. So let me redraw. So you are drawing the flux like this. So your flux will be going in the upward direction. Your current direction is like this. Your current direction is like this. Your flux direction is like this. Okay, so the flux will be coming out like this. Okay, so similarly, this was the leg, right? So it was like this. So on this side, you will be getting the same kind of flux. Here, the flux will be coming on the top and it will be entering from the bottom. So now here, this flux will exist even if you have a DC current or AC current. Okay, whether it may be a direct current or alternating current. But if you want some EMF to be induced across this, then you should be having a alternating current. Only if you are having an alternating current, you can generate some EMF, because you can say that d phi by dt is going to define your EMF. So mainly you need rate of change of flux. Okay, so so when you have rate of change of flux, you are going to have some EMF induced. So in order to have EMF induced, you need to have alternating current rather than DC current, because DC current, if it is there, then flux will be there. Because of that flux, you cannot induce some EMF. Now we'll go back again. Actually, let us redraw. So here you are having this, then you are having this, then you are having a flux. So for easy understanding, let us put only one flux for this side and one flux for this side. And this flux direction is in this direction, and in this side it is coming down. Okay, and it has to come like this. Did you understand till here? Did you understand till here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fine. So of course you would know this already, because you would have studied for JEE, and already this would have been available in your 12th. So now, since this is a magnetic material, that material, because of this flux, it is going to have a path like this. It is going to have a path like this. This obviously, you know, it is a magnetic material. So if you connect a coil like this, and if flux is there, flux is established by this current flowing in this coil, then most of the flux will be taking the magnetic path. So most of the flux which is available in the which is established by the current, it will be available in the core. That is this magnetic core that we have discussed. This is the magnetic core. So your magnetic flux will be in this way. So now, if you connect a winding, in case if you are connecting a winding here, okay, then okay, let us come later. So now this rate of change of flux is there. Rate of change of flux is there. Because of that rate of change of flux, there is going to be an EMF induced here. Let us say that this is E1, and already you are having the source voltage, that is nothing but V. Let us consider Vs. No, VP. Okay, VP means primary voltage. Okay, so you are going to have a EMF induced in this fashion. EMF will be induced here. So why this is positive and why this is negative? You know that this current, the coil which is mentioned, okay, here. So the coil which is mentioned here, it is going to carry a current, and that current is going to induce some EMF across these terminals. Okay, that EMF will be in such a way that it is opposing the cause of it. Okay, so in order to explain in a better way, this source is going to supply some current, that is going to be I. This I, it is going to establish some flux, that is what this flux, that is what this flux. If you plot this flux, then that flux will be, let us consider it as instantaneous. This will be I and this will be the flux. Means both I and flux waveform will be the same in phase. Means the magnitude may differ, the magnitude of the flux and current may differ, but both will be taking the same kind of path. Okay, so in other way you can say that the phase difference between these two waveforms is zero. Magnitude may be different, but the phase difference is zero. Okay, now this flux which is here, that is going to establish some EMF. This flux is going to establish some EMF. That EMF is given by E1. Okay, so if this EMF needs to be given some certain polarity, we have said that it is going to be an induced EMF. And if you want to give certain polarity, okay, so how we can give the polarity is, this is the core. Actually, you consider this part as a leg. Okay, that leg alone we have drawn. Now you are going to have the winding. Okay, so now we are having one thing, that is the current. Let's consider that this is I1. Okay, this current is flowing through this path, then it is going to establish a flux, that is flux phi. So now E1 is going to be induced, that is going to have a polarity like this. How we are defining this is, in case, because of this EMF induced, if there is a current flow, because of this EMF, if there is a current flow, that should oppose the cause. What is the cause? What is the cause for this EMF induced? The cause for this EMF induced is phi, right? So for that, it is related with current. Okay, so if you see in a direct way, the EMF induced should be in such a way, it should oppose the cause. So the actual current direction is like this, the source current direction is like this. Because of this EMF is induced, this induced EMF polarity in such a way, if you are allowing this E1 to supply some current, that should oppose the cause of it. What is the cause? I1 is the cause. Literally to say, if I1 is in this direction, my current which is supplied by this E1 should be in this direction. Both should be opposite. This is given by Lenz's law. Okay, I repeat, you are having a voltage source. From that voltage source, you are going to have some current because the circuit is closed. Because of the circuit is closed, there is some current. Because of that current, there is some flux. That flux, because it is alternating in nature, it is going to induce some EMF across these terminals. So that EMF polarity will be given in such a way that, since this flux is the cause, so I is the cause, if this source is able to supply by itself, then that current will be opposite to the actual current which is responsible for making this EMF induced. Okay, so to literally to say that you are having a source EMF like this, then this, okay, you consider EMF and voltages are same. Okay, EMF and voltages are same. So voltage means directly you are representing the voltage source. EMF means it is induced because of something happened. Here rate of change of flux happened, because of that that EMF is happened. Basically both are similar, nothing different. Okay, so because of this source some current is there, because it is going to be having a winding. So now because of this current, there is some EMF induced, that is going to be given here. So if this is the EMF, as per Lenz's law, if something some EMF is induced, if you are allowing to make that EMF to supply, then that will oppose the very cause of it. What is the cause for here? The EMF is induced because of this current. So if you are allowing this E1 to supply, then it will apply current in this fashion, so that this is the current supplied by this is the current supplied by this IE1. Both should be opposed. Okay, this is given by Lenz's law. So now we told that, we already discussed that always, I think I am not sure whether I discussed this or not, the current should always be coming out of the positive polarity, right? We always consider that if it is a positive source, the current coming out will be always from the positive polarity, right? So because of that reason, since this current will be in this direction, you have to consider positive polarity here and negative polarity here. Is it easy to understand? If you
Yes,
have
sir.
any, if you have any doubt, you can ask. Okay, if you have any doubt, you can ask, else we can proceed further. Okay, very simple thing, nothing more complicated. So obviously you'll be knowing about this already. Okay, so of course you may be knowing, so you may not be interested in this. So let me proceed further so that it will be easy for you to complete that experiment. So now you are having some EMF induced. You are having some EMF induced. That polarity is like this. Then now we are interested only in the source voltage and this current. Okay, this current, let us say IP. Okay, so this is going to induce some flux, that is flux IP. Okay, this current is going to flow through this. So as we discussed before, you are going to have a flux like this, and it will be on the complete magnetic core. So this current is alternating, this current is alternating, and so this flux is also alternating in nature. This flux is also alternating in nature. Now if this thing is linking the another coil, okay, if this is linking the another coil, then obviously this is an alternating flux, so this alternating flux will induce some EMF, that is E2 here. Okay, the polarity of this EMF, again it is going to be decided by the Lenz law. Here you can see that this flux is going to induce this EMF. So if it is capable of supplying some current, provided the circuit is closed, if this is capable of supplying some current, that current should be opposing the this flux. That current should be opposing that flux, so the current should be coming out of this polarity. Then only the then only this current will establish some flux that will be in the opposite direction. Okay, this flux will be establishing some flux which is in the opposite direction, that is in this way. Okay, so actually the flux is like this, that is flux is created by this current. Let's say for as of now you consider it as 5 m. Now because of the established voltage on the secondary side, that EMF will be induced in such a way that it will oppose its own cause. Here its cause is this flux. Because of this flux, this EMF is induced. So in order to oppose that, it should have some current which is flowing in this way, so that I want this flux to be opposed. So the current which is flowing through this path should be having a flux which is opposite in nature. Let's say that this is phi s. The phi s should be generated in such a way it is opposing the very cause of it. The actual cause is from top to bottom, and your this current on the secondary side should be establish some flux that should be in this direction. Okay, so now we have seen two things. One is EMF induced of primary and EMF induced of secondary. Okay, so if the circuit is closed, you are going to have a current. Okay, so the EMF is induced in this direction in order to oppose the cause. Okay, now let us discuss about the waveform. Okay, now let us discuss about the waveform. Okay, so let me draw. So here you are having a transformer. So you are having a primary coil, and you are going to have secondary. Okay, so we will consider a pure resistive circuit here. Okay, and you are having voltage source here. So now for ideally you consider your some current is flowing here. Let us consider that this is pure inductive circuit. This complete is a pure inductive circuit. So in that case, if you draw the waveform for this, your voltage source waveform will be like this. This will be your Vs. Then your current will be lagging the voltage by 90° if it is an purely inductive circuit. Okay, then okay, this will be your voltage. So source voltage, that is Vp, this voltage, and this will be your current. So also your flux will be like this. Okay, now the EMF induced, that is E, you can see this in two ways. Okay, suppose if you are seeing like this, This is the source voltage, that is Vp. The current flowing through here is Ip. Okay, so now you can see this in two ways. Either you can see this in this way or you can see this in this way. Okay, so what is this meaning? If you are seeing in the clockwise direction, this E1 will be considered as a voltage drop. I don't know whether I discussed about this in the previous lab. If the current enters the positive polarity, it is considered as a voltage drop. If the current enters the negative polarity, it is a voltage rise. Okay, so if I consider the current, here you are having positive polarity and here you are having negative polarity. The current direction is in this way. If the current enters the positive polarity, it is considered as voltage drop, and if the current enters the negative polarity, it is a voltage rise. Okay, so if you consider it as a voltage drop, then your induced voltage will be equal to your primary voltage. If you consider that E1 as a voltage drop, that is, if you consider that E1 is entering here, sorry, current is entering here, then this is considered as a voltage drop. Voltage drop in the sense there will be a reduction in voltage. Okay, it will be like this. In case if you consider that the current is entering the negative polarity, then it is a voltage rise. Okay, voltage rise means it is going to supply. That will be drawn like 180-degree phase shifted from the source. 180-degree phase shifted from the source. Okay, the meaning of this is this voltage Vp is the source voltage. Then you are finding the current. Here your current is lagging Vp by 90-degree, and then you are having induced EMF. It is a voltage rise. For voltage rise, it is going to be lagging its cause by 90-degree. Whereas if you consider this E1 as voltage drop, this is a voltage rise I had considered. If you consider this E1 as a voltage drop, then this E1 will be leading I by 90-degree. In another way, this voltage will be same as this voltage. Already I know that you know about lagging and leading. You know, right? You would have studied about leading, lagging, right? In your 12th standard. Also
Yes,
for JW would have
Yes, sir.
studied. Okay. Lagging in
Yes.
the sense, you just suppose if you do not know, consider a waveform. You are having a waveform like this. Okay. If you are having a waveform like this, then this is voltage, let's say. So this is the zero crossing. Zero crossing means this is the value which is going to cross the zero. So for this zero crossing, if you are having some waveform after this waveform, let's say that there is a waveform like this, sinusoidal waveform like this, that waveform has started after this waveform has started, right? So you can say that, let's say that this is some x waveform. This x is lagging the voltage, this lagging the voltage by some angle, means it is crossing the zero after some time instant after this v. The v has started at the v has crossed the zero at some time instant. Then this x has crossed the zero after some time instant. Let's say that this is 0.1 second. This has crossed the zero after 1/4 of the total time period. Okay, so this has taken, let's say that this total time period is 0.025. So it would have crossed the zero crossing by 0.125. So this v has crossed the zero by 0.1, and this x has crossed the zero by 0.125. So you can see, clearly see that this x has crossed the zero after several time instant of your v, right? So here this x is lagging the voltage by certain angle. Here it is actually 90-degree. Okay, because your complete cycle generally we consider is 50 hertz. Okay, you forget about it. So here this complete waveform is 360 degree. In that 360 degree, the half of this is 180 degree. So 1/4 is 90 degree. Okay. So for a purely reactive circuit, you know that the current will be lagging the voltage by 90 degree. Okay. So that's what I have drawn this red color waveform. Okay. So this is the source voltage. Then for a purely inductive circuit, the current will be lagging the voltage by 90 degree. That's why I have drawn like this. So current is lagging by 90 degree. Then the voltage that is induced here, that is E1, when you are considering it as a source, it will further lag this current. The E1, EMF E1, when it is considered as a voltage rise, then that will be lagging your current by further angle. So here, since it is a purely inductive circuit, it will be further delayed by 90 degree with respect to the current. So if you see the voltage waveforms, this is voltage drop. Okay, this is voltage drop. So when you are seeing this voltage and the induced EMF with respect to voltage rise, you can see that there is a 180 degree phase shift. Okay, you understand this terminology, voltage drop and voltage rise, because these two are very important. Okay, because of that, the waveform itself will change. Okay, sir will teach you phasor diagram in detail, but I don't have time for that here. So this will be the waveform, how it will look like. Okay, this is considered as ideal transformer. This is considered as ideal transformer. Why it is considered as ideal transformer is, here we did not consider any resistor part. This resistor is a load. You forget about this load. Other than that, we did not consider any resistor here. If we consider any resistor here, it will include losses also. Generally, this resistor is including for representing the losses except the load. So here we are not representing any resistor. So this is considered as a ideal transformer. I think we discussed about ideal voltage source and ideal current source, right?
Yes, sir.
So in ideal voltage source and current source, we told that there is no power loss. Power loss, it's not there for an ideal voltage source, also for ideal current source. But we had also told that for practical voltage source and practical current source, there is some power loss within the source that is represented by a resistor. We discussed about that, I think. So now, since we did not include any losses for this, you can consider this is ideal transformer. But practical transformer will not be like that. Okay, practical transformer will be having its own losses. Okay, before going into the losses, let us discuss one more point: mutual flux. Okay, so mutual flux is the flux. Obviously, you know the flux which is linking both the primary winding and secondary winding is called as mutual flux. Okay, so because of this winding, you are going to have current. So that is going to develop some flux. So let's say that this flux, green color one, is a flux which is not linking both the coils. The flux developed by this current is linking only primary winding. It is not linking primary winding and the secondary winding. Okay, let us consider another winding here. So let us consider another winding here. That current is going to carry a current like this, because load is connected like this. You are going to have a current like this. And this is E2. Okay, based on our previous discussion, I have drawn this. Okay, color. So here let us say that you are having a flux. So here this small light green color is indicating the flux which is linking only the primary coil and not linking the secondary coil. This flux is established by the current which is flowing in this primary winding. I told this as a primary winding. This primary winding is carrying some current. Because of that current, some flux is established. Out of the flux, some flux is linking both the coils and some flux is linking only that primary coil. So this flux is called as leakage flux. This flux is called as leakage flux. This flux links only the this flux links only one coil, not both the coils. Okay, similarly, this dark green color, here, this flux, this is established by the current which is flowing in this secondary loop. So this current established its own flux. That flux, this flux is here. That flux is linking only the secondary flux. Here it is not linking both the fluxes, but you can see the flux which is here. Let us, this flux, this flux is linking both the windings, primary and secondary winding. So the flux which is linking both the primary and secondary is called as mutual flux. That is mentioned like this, mutual flux. Whereas the flux which is linking only one coil is generally leakage flux. So this is happening in the primary side, so you can call it as a primary leakage flux. This flux is happening on the secondary, so you can call this as a secondary leakage flux. Secondary leakage flux. Now I will tell you why we are talking about this flux. Okay, so
Sir,
because,
can you explain the secondary leakage flux again?
okay, see, so here, okay, let draw it here. So you are having a winding, you are having a winding, some current is going to flow. If some current is going to flow in this fashion, you are going to have a flux. This flux will be like this. The flux will be like this. Okay. Now this flux direction will be in this fashion. Means it will be looking upward. This will be looking upward because it should oppose the very cause of it. The cause of it is coming from top to bottom. The cause of it is coming from top to bottom, and so since the cause of it is from top to bottom, this flux should be in the opposite way. So this should be in the bottom to top. What I'm saying is, here also the flux established by the secondary current, some of the fluxes are not linking both the coil, primary coil and secondary coil. That is linking only this secondary coil. This is the secondary coil I'm talking about, which is mentioned in the dark green color. That is linking only the secondary coil and not the primary coil. So the flux which is linking only one coil and it is not linking the another coil, it is called as a leakage flux. Okay, so here, since this flux is established in the secondary side of the transformer, we are calling it as secondary leakage flux. Similarly, here this flux is developed on the primary side. Here we are calling it as a primary leakage flux. Is it clear? It is the flux which is established by some current, but it links only one coil, not both the coils. Here some of the fluxes are linking only this coil, that is represented in the light green color, and other fluxes are representing in the mutual flux. Mutual flux means this mutual flux links both the primary winding and secondary winding. Primary winding and secondary winding. Since it is linking both the primary and secondary winding, you can call that as a mutual flux. Okay, so that is one thing. Then if you draw the EMF, that is E2, if you draw the EMF, that is E2, that will be in phase with E1, that will be in phase with E1 for a voltage rise here and for a voltage drop here. Okay, because E1 and E2 are in phase, there will not be any phase difference because there is no loss. There will not be any phase difference for ideal transformer. Okay, so here these two will be in phase because these two EMF are induced by the same flux, that is the mutual flux. Okay, that we will discuss. That we will discuss so that you will not get confused as of now. Okay, the mutual flux will be there, so that is going to induce EMF on both the sides. So that is given by E1 and E2. Okay, so let us go in detail so that it will be easy to understand. Now we had considered lossless flux. I mean lossless transformer. Okay, for an understanding, I told that there will be some leakage flux. That leakage flux will be available only in non-ideal transformer. That is practical transformer only. You will be having leakage flux. In ideal transformer, there is no loss. If there is no loss, whatever the flux established by one coil will be linking both the coils. Okay, so for non-ideal transformer only, you will be having leakage flux, or you can also call it as practical transformer. Okay, so this will not be having any loss. This will be having loss, whereas ideal transformer will not be having any leakage flux. All the flux will be linking both the primary and secondary. Okay, so let us proceed with this understanding. We are going to talk about the transformer again. Okay, so here you are going to have a transformer. Then in this transformer, okay, so in this transformer, we told about leakage flux. Okay, what this leakage flux is doing is, this leakage flux is a loss, because this leakage flux, if it has linked both the coils, then EMF induced on other side will also have been increased. Okay, so this leakage flux is going to show some reduction in voltage. If the leakage flux is not there, let's say that you are having an ideal transformer, you are having a, this is an ideal transformer, this is a practical transformer, let's say. Okay, so this is an ideal transformer. In this ideal transformer, I am saying that whatever the flux established here, it is going to be within this magnetic core. All the magnetic fluxes will be within the magnetic core. So in that case, whatever the flux which is established by the primary winding, that will be completely uh, linking the secondary also. So because of this, some EMF is induced, let's say here E1, E2, and here this is E1. Okay, so now this is an ideal condition. Okay, this is an ideal condition. Now what happens here is, here some flux which is linking only one coil and it is not linking the another coil. So because of this, you are having d phi by dt. Okay, earlier you have some x value, let's say that the the changes some value. Okay, let's say that x1, and you are having x2. Now x1 is for ideal condition and x2 is for non-ideal condition. Okay, so if x1 is greater than x2, then this is equal to your voltage. So if x1 is greater than x2, then your EMF induced will be greater for x1 and lesser for x2, right? So here you are having more number of fluxes. Here leakage flux is equal to 0. Leakage flux is equal to 0, whereas here you are having leakage flux. Because of this leakage flux, the EMF induced on both the sides will be reduced. So this is another way of saying voltage drop. Voltage drop is going to reflect in the power loss, also. Okay, so that we will discuss, but before that, here this flux we are talking, right, that flux will be in phase with the current. Whenever the current is increasing, then this leakage flux will be increasing with the current, and it will be decreasing with the current, and it will be in phase with the current. Okay, so in order to reflect that, what we are going to do is, we are going to remove this leakage flux and we are going to represent as an inductor here. This is called as leakage flux representation. We are representing in terms of reactance. Once you are representing this in terms of wire, in that we are going to represent as series reactance. This reactance is going to reflect for the leakage flux which is happening on the primary side. So now your leakage flux can be removed and you can draw like this, and you are having only mutual flux. Okay, you can see here that I have removed the leakage flux and I have indicated by using a reactance. Basically you will call it as an inductor. Generally if you call 2 pi fl, this is a reactance xl, right? So this xl is going to represent the leakage flux which is happening on the primary side. Similarly on the secondary side, if you want to indicate the leakage flux, Okay, then you can represent it with the inductance. This is leakage on the secondary side. Why we have drawn in this series is because here the current, if the current increases, then the flux is also increasing. That's why we have drawn it in the series. If it is connected in the shunt way, it will not be happening in the same fashion. Okay, so that's why we have drawn it in the series way. Now what we have done, we have represented the leakage flux. Okay, now other than that, if you want to extend this, all the wires, all the conductors are having its own resistance. If there is some resistance, then if some current is flowing through this path, two things will happen. One is voltage drop, another one is power loss, that is I square R, and the voltage drop is I into R, or if it is impedance, I into Z. Okay, so here, if since it is a resistor, we can consider it as I into R. So here you can have two things. If you are having a conductor, all the conductors are having a finite resistance within it. So in order to represent the power loss in the resistance and the voltage drop in the resistance, we are going to have a resistor in series. Okay, what we are doing here is we are removing the non-idealities. Sorry, we are removing the idealities. In the ideal condition, we consider that there is no loss. Now what we are doing, we are including the losses. Then we are coming to the practical. If we are including the losses with the ideal condition, then you can say that it is a non-ideal transformer. We are more interested in non-ideal transformer. That is nothing but the practical transformer. Okay, so we are including the losses. This is going to represent the leakage flux. This is going to represent the copper loss in the wire as well as the winding. Okay, the copper loss, you are having a wire that you are wounding over that leg, then the complete resistance of this wire can be represented with this resistor that is mentioned here. This is R P, because it is a primary resistance. Here also you can mention XP, primary reactance. So here you can mention it as XS, and on the secondary side you are mentioning it as the RX. Here why we are representing, here also the secondary terminal is also a conductor. The conductor is having its own resistance, so we are mentioning the RS here. Then you are having a load, you are having a source here, VP. Okay, now you are having induced EMF here, and you are having mutual flux here. Okay, now this is I1, this is I1, and this is current I2. Okay, so now we have moved from the practical transformer, ideal transformer, to the practical transformer. In short, you can draw like this. This is your ideal transformer. Here you are going to have a load. VP, and here this is I, and this is E1. This is E2, and this is your load. So you are going to have some current, that is ES, let's say. We will put it as EP, ES itself. Okay, primary voltage and secondary induced voltage. This is I. This is your ideal transformer. For a practical transformer, we are going to represent in terms of resistance and inductance. This resistance is going to represent the copper loss in the cable, and this is going to represent the leakage reactance, XL. Then you are having the same on the secondary side. Here you are having a load. Okay, so here this is XS, RS, RP, this is RS. Now this leakage flux is also represented. Is it understood till this? We have done this. This is ideal, this is practical, this is practical. Is it understood till now? Practical transformer, this is ideal transformer. If you have understood till now, till this, we can proceed further. If you have any
Yes,
doubt,
sir.
you can ask now itself. Okay, if you have doubt, you can ask now itself, else we will proceed further. Okay, fine. So if you don't have any doubt, we will proceed further. Generally, whatever the circuit or whatever the physical elements we have, we will be representing that in the mathematical form, mainly in terms of circuit here. Okay, we are going to represent everything in terms of circuit, that is actually a mathematical representation of the complete circuit. In your home, if you are having certain loads and source, so there also we can represent that as a circuit. Okay, so here we have represented it in terms of V, I, or X and E. So with these five terms, we have represented the ideal transformer with inputs and output. Okay, now here this is an electrical circuit. This is an electrical circuit. This iron core is a magnetic part, and here this is also another electrical circuit. Here you are having two electrical circuit. Okay, in order to analyze this circuit, you need these two circuits to be merged. So how you can merge these two circuits? These are two electrical circuits and it is coupled with magnetic part. Okay, this there is no physical wire connection between the primary circuit and secondary circuit. Here the flux is linking the primary and secondary, because of that some EMF is induced. Okay, now I want this to be represented as a single equivalent circuit so that I can analyze the circuit easily. Okay, in order to avoid that, in order to do that, what we have to do is I have to remove this magnetic part. Okay, how I can remove this magnetic part? So what this magnetic part is doing actually here is it is going to have a mutual flux. It is going to have a mutual flux. Okay, if it is having a mutual flux, then this core, that is that magnetic core, will be having its own losses. The core itself will be having its own losses because of this flux. So that is going also to be represented. This is one thing. Okay, first one mutual flux is there, that is linking both primary and secondary. To represent that, we are going to include the term phi m. Other than that, there is a loss which is happening within the core. Okay, that core should also be represented. That is the two things. Other than that, other than these two things, there is one more thing. That is one more thing. It is in terms of windings. Okay, what is this winding? Primary turns and secondary turns. That is a primary side, you are having a coil that is wounded, so that is a primary winding. On the secondary side, you are having certain winding, that is called a secondary winding. Okay, so this winding also we should remove it. Okay, so if you want to talk in terms of winding, then what is the how you can represent that is, suppose if you are having n1 number of windings here and n2 number of windings here. Okay, so in case if n1 is going to be greater than n2, then the voltage, you can consider E voltage, EP will be greater than ES. That is, the EMF induced on the primary side will be greater than EMF induced on the secondary side. If N1 is equal to N2, then induced EMF on both the sides will be equal to, both will be same. Then if N1 is less than N2, then EP, that is the EMF induced on the primary side, will be less than the secondary side. Why we are talking about this? For this condition, this transformer will act as step down voltage. Means that it is going to reduce the voltage from one end to another end. Here you are having higher voltage, and on the secondary side you are going to have a lower voltage. So what you are doing, you are going to reduce the voltage. That is mentioned as step down. Okay, then you forget about this. This is not required for now. So this is considered as step up voltage, where the primary voltage will be less than the secondary voltage. In another way, you can say that the secondary voltage is higher than the primary voltage. So you can call it as a step up. Step up or step down, we are telling in terms of secondary. If the secondary is greater than primary, then you can call it as a step up voltage, not current. If the secondary voltage, induced voltage is greater than primary induced voltage, then you can call it as a step up. Whereas if the secondary voltage is less than this primary voltage, then you can call it as a step down transformer. Transformer is doing reduction in voltage and transformer is doing increase in voltage. Okay, but the power in both the cases are same. Even if it is operating in step down or step up, the power on the primary side will be equal to the prime power on the secondary side, except the losses. Except the losses, if you exclude the losses, both the power will be same. Okay, so now we are talking about two things. One is this windings, that is N1 and N2, the ratio of N1 by N2, that we will discuss again later, but the ratio of N1 by N2 is a transformation ratio. Okay, based on this ratio, your voltage is going to either increase or decrease. Then you are going to talk about two things. One is flux, which is linking both primary and secondary, and the second one is the loss component that is occurring in the resistance. Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
when will the power in primary and secondary circuit will be same?
Power. See, if there is no loss in the core, we are talking about some loss in the core. If there is no loss in the core, then primary power will be equal to the secondary power.
I mean the
I
RM will be 0, then both
yeah,
power will be same.
yeah, you can consider like that.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so let us proceed with this. So same kind of things. So I told that power is same. Okay, I told that power is same. So this is the expressions. I'm not going to explain the expressions. Okay, that is not needed for here. So we'll just, for a lossless transformer, there is, let's say that there is no core loss, then, and N1 is equal to N2, then E1 will be equal to E2. Okay, that's what I'm saying. If there is no core loss, and if N1 is equal to N2, then E1 will be equal to E2. Okay, if you find the ratio of E1 and E2, consider that this N1 and N2 are different. If you are having a ratio of E1 by E2, then that will be coming like this. E1 by E2 will be like here, and N1 by N2 is like this, and this ratio is called as transformation ratio. The ratio of E1 and E2 you can call it as A, or N1 by N2 you can also call it as A. Similarly with current also we can mention, that is given here. Here I have represented the power. Okay, I have equated the power. The primary power should be equal to the secondary power except the losses. You just forget about the losses. In that case, E1 will be E1 I1 will be equal to E2 I2. So if you rewrite this equation, you will get E1 by E2 is equal to I2 divided by I1. So here E1 by E2, already I told it is the transformation ratio A, so which is nothing but the same as I2 by I1. Okay, see, this is a different way of representation. I have taken E1 by E2, right? I have taken E1 by E2. Some people would have taken E2 divided by E1, and in that case they can say this as a transformation ratio. It depends on how they are considering. Okay, it may vary for different people, whether it is E1 or E2 or E2 divided by E1. It is depends on how they are considering. Okay, so here I have considered E1 by E2 as A. So if I rewrite this equation, you can see here that I2 divided by I1 is equal to A. Just a minute. Yeah, so E1 by E2 is equal to I2 divided by I1 is equal to A. You can also say that I1 by I2 is equal to 1 by A. Okay, here it is E2 by I2 by I1, so I have mentioned it as A. If it is I1 by I2, I can represent it as 1 by A, provided I have taken E1 by E2 like that. See, some people would have taken E2 divided by E1, so that time this N2 divided by N1 will be there. Then this will be equal to I1 divided by I2. Okay, it depends on how they are considering. This will be A. Okay, I have solved like this. and other people might have solved like this. So in this case, I2 divided by I1 will be equal to 1 by A. But here what we have considered is I1 by I2 is considered as 1 by A. It depends on how they are solving. That's all. If someone has solved in a different way, it is not wrong, but they will be having the calculations accordingly. So there will not be any problem arise because of that. Okay. So we have discussed about this already. So this is what the things I have told. So this is phasor diagram that is not needed for you here. So these things are phasor diagrams. Those are not needed for you. Your theory teacher will teach you about that. Okay. So this is a switch. When this is closed, there will be a current flow. So if there is a current flow, it will create a flux. It will be opposing the cause. Here you can see that the blue color one is the flux which is coming from top to bottom. Because of that flux, there is a current which is developed in this fashion. So that flux is that current is going to induce an EMF, induce a flux that will oppose the cause. Okay, so that's why E2 is like this. So the current will come out of this position. Similarly, same case. Now you are having a flux here that is linking only primary, not linking the secondary. Here also you are having certain flux which is linking only secondary and not the primary. Okay, so these things are not, okay. This what I was discussing. Okay, so this is what I was discussing. So in order to represent the flux phi m, that is the mutual flux, I am going to represent this part. This is the shunt inductance part that is helpful to represent the flux. Then I am going to represent this. This is nothing but Rm. Generally, it will be like Xm. This is Rm. This Rm is going to represent the core loss. Core loss. Okay, this is going to represent the leakage flux. This is going to represent the leakage flux, and this is going to represent the mutual flux. This is Rm is going to represent the core loss, and this is going to represent the loss, copper loss of the winding. So these are the only four things. Now here we have represented the mutual flux in terms of inductance, and we have represented the core loss in terms of resistance, that is Rm. Only other thing we are having here is only this magnetic part. The difference, the issue with this magnetic part is this N1 can be different from N2. So we have to neglect that also. Okay, how we can neglect? I think that will be available. Let me see. Just a minute. Can you able to see my screen?
No, sir. No, sir.
Just a minute, just a minute. Can you able to see now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So here, uh, you can see here, just a minute. So here, this complete part we are going to represent in terms of windings. Okay, this is the windings. Here actually it is a step down transformer, so it is mentioned like this. So here equations again, I'm not going to teach you, but here you are having windings. This complete magnetic core has been represented as this. Okay, this represents that iron core. This symbol represents that iron core. Okay, so again here what we have done, we have represented the windings like this, have represented the iron core like this, and we have represented the number of turns on the secondary side like this. We did not do anything else, we just re-represented like this. We did not make any changes from this circuit to this circuit. Okay, so here, okay, so here what I am doing, I want to merge these two circuits. That's what I wanted to do, right? So what I am doing, I can move this part to either end of the side. Either I can move this to this side, or what I'm saying is I can move this complete part to here, or I can move this here, so that I can merge these two circuits. Okay, so how I can do that? Okay, so first what I am doing is, here you can see clearly, here E1 is there, here E2 is there. One thing you note here, here this is N1, and here you can see this is N2. Okay, so what is the difference between this point and this point? So let's say that this is terminal A and this is terminal B, this terminal C and terminal D. The difference between these two terminals is just the voltage. Here E1 is not equal to E2. Okay, that why it is there? Because of the winding, the EMF induced is not same. By somehow, if I make the voltage across the terminal A and B as voltage across the terminal C and D as equal, then it is possible for me to link these terminals. How I am going to do is this. So now what I am doing, here you can see N1 is large number of turns, N2 is having lesser number of turns. Here I made both the turns as same. Here I made both the turns as same. So N1 I is same as that. N2 I made equivalent to N1 by certain factor, that is nothing but N1 by N2 is equal to A. This factor we know, right? So that N2 I made equal to N1. Okay, then after that, whatever the parameters are there, I am going to represent in with respect to the turns ratio. Okay, so here it is R2, here it is JX2, here it is V2. Okay, so now what I am doing, this E2 dash is the referred component they will call. Okay, so E2 was there before. With the transformation ratio, I have considered as A into E2. That transformation ratio I have multiplied in such a way that that will be equal to E1. Already we have seen E1 divided by E2 is equal to A, right? Is equal to A. So if I want E2 should be equal to E1, obviously E1 is equal to E2 into A. So that's what I have done here also. So this N2, it's almost like I am having A into N2, that will be made equal to this one. So let us consider that I am having N2 dash here, so that the N2 dash is nothing but N2 into A. So if I make N2 into A, whatever the EMF induced in this winding will be made as equal to this winding. Okay, so then if the EMF induced on this both the windings are same, I can rearrange everything is like that, because the resistance I was having is depend on different voltage and current. So now I am changing according to the voltage which is made equal to the transformation ratio. Okay, now this R2 dash I have written in terms of A square R2. This reactance term I have mentioned it as A square X2. You forget about this J term. And why it is a square, that is having a different explanation. You don't bother it now. You just consider that we are going to represent the voltage, you are going to represent the resistance, inductance, and the load values in terms of primary. Since it is written in terms of primary, this you can call it as a secondary referred to primary. Why I am saying secondary referred to primary is, here E2 dash I have changed, E2 I have changed to E2 dash. Then whatever the secondary elements are available, I have used the transformation ratio that is made equal to the primary side. So you can call this as a secondary referred to primary. In case if I do it in the reverse way, instead of making this n1 as constant and n2 as increasing one, if I make this n2 as constant and reducing this n1 in such a way that both the EMF are same. Okay, so here what I have done, you can see that the number of turns on n1 was greater than number of turns on the n2. I did changes in n2 in such a way that both the turns are equal. Okay, so I have multiplied with the turns ratio, right? In case if I want n2 should be constant and if I want n1 should be changed, then you know that n1 divided by n2 is equal to a. Then I should reduce this n1 divided by a is equal to n2, right? So I should reduce the number of turns on the primary side with the transformation ratio. So that will give the number of turns on the secondary. So if I do that, I have to change all the values as R2, RC dash, JX dash, this JX1 dash, R1 dash, like this. So that time what would I have done is, I would have referred the primary with respect to the secondary. Means with respect to the secondary, I have changed all the primary. But now what we have done, with respect to the primary voltage, we have changed everything. So this is called as secondary referred to primary. Do you understand anything? If you have any doubt, you can ask now.
No doubts.
Do you understand? Okay, so now what I have done, we made this voltage as same, then this is not going to make any impact if I remove this also, because the voltage at this potential at this terminal and the voltage at this terminal as same. I have made like that, so I can remove it and I can redraw it like this. Okay, so I have removed it and I have redrawn like this, so I got this component completely. Okay, this is the equivalent, complete equivalent circuit of a transformer. Okay, in your experiment, what you are going to do is, in your first experiment, you are going to find this Rx1, Rx2, Jx1, this resistance and this resistance. Totally, you are going to find R1 plus R2 dash. Then you are going to find X1 plus X2 dash. Then you are going to find this RC and this JX. These terms you are going to find in your experiment, that is based on open circuit and short circuit of transformer. Okay, so why you are finding it is, basically you need to find the efficiency of the transformer. In order to find the efficiency of the transformer, you can do it in two ways. One is applying load and another one is without applying load. Okay, without applying load. So here I can apply load and I can find the efficiency of the transformer. That is one part. And the second part is, without applying any load, I can find the efficiency of the transformer. In experiment number 6, as per the list, you are going to find out the efficiency without connecting any physical load. Whereas in your experiment number 7, you are going to apply load and you are going to find the efficiency. Other than that, you are going to find the voltage regulation. Okay, voltage regulation, it needs further explanation. In short, you can say that if the current on the secondary is increasing, how much voltage is reducing on the secondary side? If the secondary current is increasing, the EMF induced on the secondary side will be reducing. That we will discuss later, preferably not today, because already I have taken 1.5 hours at least, so it is difficult for you. So we will stop here, but that time how much current is increasing, because of that how much secondary voltage induced is reducing. So that we are going to see in our voltage regulation in your experiments. Okay, if you have doubt you can ask, else we can end the meeting. It is sufficient for today. After this, individual scholars will teach you the respective experiments. Okay, because we will not get time like this. Since it is online, I am able to teach you here. If it is offline, it is very difficult. Okay, so we will be getting less time. So within that time, we should complete the experiment alone. We cannot able to teach it. So only the scholars will teach you directly. I will not be able to teach you in labs hereafter. If it is a physical lab, it will become very difficult to teach you. Okay, so only the scholars will teach you. So if you have doubts, you can come and ask me at any time. Other than that, anyway, your theory faculty will teach you this subject later. Okay, so as of now, we can end this session. If you have any doubt, you can ask, else you can leave the meeting. If you want to ask anything, you can ask, else you can.
Sir, for writing experiment, can we use A4 size paper or we need a lab manual?
See, I told very clearly, you should not bring any printout copies. I don't want any printout copies. I need you to write in hand. You should write it in A4 sheet. I will give you instructions.
We will write in hand, but we can use A4 sheet, na?
You should use only A4 sheet.
Okay,
you
sir.
should not write it in any copy. You should write only in A4 sheets, unruled one. You should not write in ruled copies, and there should not be any copies. You should write it in A4 sheet only. And the circuit diagram should be drawn only in pencil. There should not be any hand drawing. You should draw the circuit like this. I have drawn, right? If some circuit is given to you, it should be drawn like this. Okay, I gave you some instructions on the previous labs. I hope that I have followed the instructions for all the circuits which I have drawn here. Tell me, you are asking something?
And sir, the next lab will be physical lab or online lab again?
There is no online lab hereafter. Already we are lagging in 3 labs, because that today also I should have conducted in offline, only because some students told that they will be in quarantine. I was not able to conduct the lab physically. Hereafter there is no online lab. Everything will be physical lab. So next week you should come to the lab on time. Okay, is that clear?
Sir.
Yeah. So if you people want to ask anything else, you can ask, else we can end this.
What do we need in the lab?
You first wear shoe and come.
Okay. Except
Then,
that, laptop, anything else?
Nothing else. You don't need laptop. I'm not going to teach you anything.
Okay, sir. Okay.
You don't need laptop there.
Pen,
You
paper.
come with write up, pen and calculator, and shoe. These things you wear and come. Shoe you wear. You bring the pen, paper, A4 sheets that should have written the experiment content, and only the table or column should not have been filled. Other than that, you should have filled everything. Okay.
Okay. So, sir, for group number like 3, we should bring the A4 sheet, written group number, experiment number 3, and details about it, right, sir?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, sir.
Okay, fine. Thank you. So I repeat, hereafter there is no online lab, or everything is a physical lab hereafter. Okay. So
Okay, sir.
you come to the lab directly for the next week. You come sharply by 2. See, actually there may be some clash, and so you need to come early, and you need to perform the experiment at the earliest. Okay, because there are several labs which is going on parallelly, so you may not get sufficient time. You have to complete your experiment within 2 hours. I think it will be like that only. We will see when we go to the lab physically. Okay. Okay, fine. I hope that at least you understood something which you do not know before. Something you would have understood today, I hope. So with this we can end this session. You people can leave.
Thank you, sir.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.